Is Barnes the culprit? The thief cut open the case to steal the jewel, but they had the key to get into the storage room. And the only people who have access to that key are Dennis and Barnes, so it makes sense that the police would suspect Barnes. If the key hasn't been used to unlock the storage room, Barnes wouldn't be under suspicion in the first place. Why would he do that, knowing people would suspect him? Maybe he didn't think that far ahead. In any case, based on what we found at the scene of the crime, we can't be certain of anything just yet. We need to talk to Barnes and the other people in the mansion and hear what they have to say. Not just the people, the Pokemon too. I'll interpret for you when we talk to them. Alright, I'm counting on you, Pikachu. Okay, now that we've got our next steps figured out, let's start interviewing everyone right away. Okay. So I could begin deducing now whenever I want, but yeah, I think let's first talk to the people and the Pokemon and see what's up. Okay, so I think we're done in this room, right? We should be done in this room. If you don't have like a, what's it called, an exclamation or something above your head, then I don't think, I don't think I need to talk to you. Interview the people and the Pokemon. Okay, not you. I guess let's go downstairs. Master Detective on the case. What about you?
Hello there, Detective Tim. Oh, I mean, Detective Goodman?
It doesn't really matter what you call me. Larry Turner, newest staff member of the Dennis residence. Okay, so he's the newest. Could he be the culprit? Right? If you think about it. You could be like using this job that he has to steal from the owner, right? If you think about it. Wait, you are the detective, right? That's what Mr. Dennis said at least. The name's... Wait, that's not proper enough. Sorry, my name is Larry Turner and I'm a member of the house staff. House staff, huh? Seems in over his head. If you need anything, just let me know. I mean, please inform me if... You really don't have to be so formal with us. Thanks, that's a huge relief. I got this job a while ago, but I'm still not used to talking all fancy. Uh-oh, is that a problem? Well, it's a good thing for me that Barnes deals with all the important guests. My main duties are taking care of the Pokemon, managing the house, and groundskeeping. And I can handle all that, no problem. I don't know. This guy isn't exactly filling me with confidence in his ability to do his job. Anyway, you wanted to talk about what happened, right? I mean, I already told the police everything I know. I'm really sorry for taking up more of your time. Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. I'm not complaining or anything. It's just that I don't remember what happened very well. Something attacked me out of nowhere and I blacked out. Something attacked him? So not the thief then? Can you please tell us more about that? Sure, no problem. About the crime that took place. Right, so where to start? I was just doing my job like normal today. I'd made food for the Pokemon, did some cleaning around the mansion, that sort of thing. I think I was tidying the garden when it happened. I saw Ducklet fly out of a second-story window. As I recall, I wondered where she was going. I mean, usually Ducklet just walks out the front door. It seemed weird to me, so I went upstairs to see what was going on. That's when I saw the door to the jewel room, the jewel storage room was wide open. As if that wasn't shocking enough, the moment I went to look inside, I suddenly got punched by a Pokemon. The next thing I knew, I was lying on a sofa and someone was treating my wounds. A Pokemon punched you? Yeah, I feel like I glimpsed a small red figure for just a moment. Based on the size, it couldn't have been a human, so I'm guessing it was a Pokemon. A red Pokemon? Do you know what kind it was? I'm not really sure, it all happened so fast. I see, I'm so sorry that happened to you. But I'm glad you weren't seriously hurt. Haha, that's what the doctor said too. No Pokemon would want to steal the Aurora drop. It's possible that the culprit ordered their partner Pokemon to swipe the jewel and punch out Turner. So Tim, now that you've heard Turner's story, what do you think? We need to find the ducklet that flew out the window and that red Pokemon too. Yep, you got it. Okay. About the culprit.
Excuse me?
God, this game has a lot of dialogue. I'm not used to it. Did you see anything else when the Pokemon attacked you? The thief who brought the Pokemon along was probably nearby. Unfortunately, that's all I saw. I see. Can you think of any other details that might give us a clue about the culprit? Nothing in particular is coming to mind. I mean, Mr. Dennis is such a nice person. I've never heard of anyone holding a grudge against him. And I was really surprised to hear that Barnes is the suspect. You don't think Barnes is responsible? I guess the police must have some reason to suspect him, but honestly, I just can't believe it. Barnes is still showing me the ropes around here. He's a great co-worker with tons of experience. I mean, if you'd known Barnes before all this, you could never even imagine him being a thief. About the Aurora drop.
Excuse me?
Do you know anything about the stolen jewel? The Aurora drop? I've never even seen the thing. It's been shut up in that storage room ever since it was brought to the house. Of course I know it's valuable and all. I assume that's what's been causing all the arguments between Mr. and Mrs. Dennis lately. What sort of arguments? In case you haven't heard, Mr. Dennis says he's gonna donate the Aurora drop. Seems like Mrs. Dennis is against that plan. They've been fighting about it almost nightly. Every night? It must really be a point of contention. I guess Mrs. Dennis just doesn't want to give up such a valuable jewel. So the Aurora drop's been driving a wedge between husband and wife, eh? Okay. So he did mention a red Pokemon, so let's come up with all of our possible red Pokemon suspects. There's Charmander. Just kidding, that's more orange. There's Corphish, Crawdont. But it's not the size of a human, so it's gotta be small, right? I'm just thinking of fire types. Magby? That's the only one I could think of right now at the top of my head. Latias. Imagine. What's up, Clefable? All ears for Mansion Gossip. Ooh. She likes to gossip. Fabe! Oh, it's Clefable, Mrs. Dennis's partner, apparently. Can I ask you a few questions? Faye! Whoa, what gives? No need to be so rude. What's wrong? Seems like she's real suspicious of us. Maybe she's feeling sensitive about the incident here.
Yes?
Is this Mrs. Dennis?
You certainly don't look like you're with the police. State your business.
Ooh, she's serious. Claudia Dennis, Sanjeev Dennis's wife. We're detectives. Mr. Dennis asked us to investigate the incident that occurred here. Detectives? Oh, I suppose my husband did say something about that. Your husband? That must mean you're Claudia Dennis, Sanjeev's wife. I'm sorry to bother you, but do you mind if we ask you some questions? I do mind, actually. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The case has already been solved. What do you mean? The police said that Barnes is behind all this, so the matter's settled. We've heard that he's under suspicion, yes, but we can't be certain it was Barnes who committed the crime. You sound just like my husband, but nothing you say will change the fact that Barnes is the culprit. Barnes's partner Ducklet was up to no good. I saw it with my own eyes. Did you witness the crime? Barnes's partner Ducklet was involved in the crime? You look as though you don't believe me. Oh my god. That's so much. Okay, about what you witnessed.
Excuse me?
Is it true that you witnessed the crime? Well, I didn't exactly see it clearly. Huh? But I did witness some irrefutable proof. What exactly did you see? At the time of the incident, I was enjoying a cup of tea in my room on the second floor. Just then, I noticed a bird Pokemon flying outside the window. A bird Pokemon? Yes, I clearly saw a blue bird Pokemon. It had to have been Ducklet. We did find blue feathers near the window and in the storage room. So those were Ducklets? In hindsight, she was obviously stealing the jewel. I also heard a faint sound just before that, like something metallic. A metallic sound? Do you know what could have made that noise? No, I don't, but the storage room was ransacked, wasn't it? I suppose she must have broken something in the act, and I've heard it confirmed that Ducklet's feathers were found in the room. Isn't that proof enough that Barnes is the culprit? She's pretty darn convinced of her own theory, but all it's based on is a metallic sound and the sight of a flying bluebird Pokemon. Pretty flimsy, if you ask me. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mrs. Dennis, but that information alone isn't enough to definitively prove Barnes is the culprit. Then hurry up and find whoever it is and get that jewel back. Isn't that what my husband hired you for? I get that she's upset, but she doesn't have to take it out on us. God, isn't she the one who asked me to leave? And now she's asking me to stay?
Excuse me?
Mr. Dennis seems confident that Barnes is innocent. Oh yes, I'm sure he is. He's always been too trusting, especially when it comes to Barnes. Those two really trust each other that much? I'm told Barnes has worked here for a long time. Much longer, in fact, than I've known Sanjeev. I suppose that's why Barnes is always taking my husband's side. What do you mean by that? Whenever my husband and I have a disagreement, Barnes inevitably sides with Sanjeev, even though I'm sure he believes he's being impartial. That lack of self-awareness is yet another one of his many flaws. I get the feeling Claudia's not a huge fan of Barnes. Do you think that's why she's so sure he's a thief? About Ducklet.
Excuse me?
Could you tell me more about Ducklet? Ducklet is Barnes' partner. She dotes on him tirelessly and is always by his side. You mentioned earlier that she might be involved in the crime somehow. Would Ducklet be capable of such a thing? Yes, she even helps Barnes out with his shopping. She'd certainly be capable of making off with the jewel. Well, whether or not Ducklet stole the jewel, the one thing that seems certain is that she really loves Barnes. About the Aurora Drop.
Yes?
The Aurora Drop is an incredibly valuable jewel. Mr. Dennis told me the same thing. But do you really understand? Can you even comprehend just how valuable it is? Huh? I knew it. Just look at those blank expressions. Hey, my face always looks like this. As it is, I'm not even sure my husband understands the true value of that jewel. After getting his hands on something so precious, why would he want to donate it to Ryme City? So you're against donating the Aurora Drop? Of course I am. Treasures like that aren't meant to be paraded about for the general public. They should be preserved for quiet observation by a select few. Hard to imagine her quietly doing anything. Alright, is there anyone in here? Okay, I guess he wants to talk. Ask me anything you like. About the symbol of revival. What makes the Aurora Drop a symbol of revival? 2 years ago, during the art incident, my jewel shop suffered considerable damage. Wait, you were a victim of the art incident? Yes, some Pokemon who'd been exposed to R went berserk. The rampage destroyed my shops, to say nothing of the damage done to my jewels and other goods. By that time, I already had the Aurora Drop. I kept it stored safely in the shop. So was the Aurora Drop damaged too? No, as a matter of fact, it wasn't. Of all the jewels in my shop, the Aurora Drop was the only one to remain unscathed. In fact, debris fell so perfectly around the Aurora Drop that you might believe it was actually being protected. That's incredible. I guess there's some magic left in the world after all. Ever since then, the Aurora Drop became known as the jewel that survived the R incident. People started visiting my shop just to see it. And thanks to all that attention, my business was able to get back on its feet. Sounds like a valuable jewel in more ways than one. What made you decide to bring it back to your mansion instead of keeping it at your shop? I decided to donate it to Ryme City. The Aurora Drop? But why donate something so precious to you? It's not just precious to me, and that's exactly why I decided to donate it. May Mayor Myers has done his part in improving our city by declaring the start of Pokemon Friendship Week. I thought it was about time I did mine, so I wanted to donate the jewel that survived the art incident as a symbol of Ryme City's revival. I hope that by doing so, I can help liven up not just my shop, but the whole city as well. Wow, Dennis, I'm impressed. That's a wonderful gesture. I'm glad you think so. Not everyone is so pleased about it. Oh? Forget I said anything. I shouldn't burden you with concern over such personal matters. For now, I'm counting on you to find the Aurora Drop as quickly as possible. Understood. We'll do everything we can. Now then, Mr. Barnes, we'll thank you not to leave the mansion until further notice. Understood. Hey, it sounds like the police finished questioning Barnes. Let's go talk to him. Yeah. Okay, finally. We get to talk to him. He kind of looks like a thief, honestly. Brandon Barnes, butler of the Dennis residence. Honestly, I mean, he looks like angry. And honestly, I could totally picture him being a thief. How did it come to this? Why are the police so suspicious of me? Excuse me, are you Mr. Barnes? Who might you be? I'm Detective Tim Goodman. Mr. Dennis has hired me to investigate the crime that occurred here. Is that so? My apologies. I am Brandon Barnes. I work here at the Dennis residence as a butler. Do you mind if we ask you some questions, Mr. Barnes? I realize you must be tired, since you were just questioned by the police. Please don't worry about that. If you've been hired by Mr. Dennis, then it is my duty to give you my full cooperation. Thank you. What would you like me to speak about first? At the time of the incident. I was away when the incident occurred. It wasn't until after I'd finished my errand and entered the house that I realized something was amiss. I heard Turner cry out from the second floor. When I rushed upstairs, I found him collapsed on the floor in front of the jewel storage room. So that means Barnes was the first witness to arrive at the scene of the crime. Did you see the thief or their partner Pokemon? No, nothing like that. Wait, if Barnes ran up the stairs, you'd think he would have run straight into the thief. If he didn't see anyone, could he have escaped from the second floor? Did you check the storage room? Yes, the door was already open, and when I looked inside, I saw that the Aurora Drop was gone. I then contacted Mr. Dennis and the police right away. Is there anyone who can corroborate your whereabouts at the time? Unfortunately not. It was only afterward that Mrs. Dennis came out of her room to see what the commotion was about. And the only others in the house at the time were Growlithe and Clefable. Naturally, no one can take witness statements from Pokemon, so I'm afraid I have no alibi. That's where we come in. The Pokemon that live in this mansion might know something about the culprit. Mr. Barnes, do you have any idea who the thief might be? Not a clue, I'm afraid. But I do know that Mr. Dennis and I are the only ones who could freely use the key to the jewel storage room. Growlithe guards that key with constant vigilance, so I imagine it would be very difficult for anyone else to take it from her. I suppose it's no great wonder that the police suspect me, given the circumstances. But I would never do something so senseless. At least this confirms that only those two have access to the key. Okay, about Ducklet.
Yes.
Ducklet is my dear partner Pokemon. Just look at this photo. Yep, they sure look happy together. That's Ducklet with you there? Yes, isn't she adorable? Just look at her feathers, simply beautiful. But that's not all. She's also incredibly clever and even helps me out with my work. Oh, excuse me. I'm terribly sorry. I tend to get a bit carried away when I speak about Ducklet. It's really no problem. You mentioned that she helps you with your work. What exactly does she do? Let's see. She runs errands for me, such as buying coffee beans from a local cafe. Oh, she buys coffee beans. Nice. There is a place nearby called the Hi Hat Cafe. Perhaps you've heard of it. She regularly goes shopping there by herself. If that's their go-to cafe, then it's gotta be for the Hi Hat blend. Guess I shouldn't be surprised that Ryme City's elites have such refined taste. I asked her to go to the cafe today, in fact, but she hasn't returned yet. Could she have wandered off somewhere? Do you have any idea where Ducklet might be? Unfortunately, no. The feathers found at the scene of the crime are Ducklet's, right? Yes, no question about it, but I haven't the faintest idea why Ducklet's feathers would be there. Just the thought of her getting caught up in the crime somehow, I'm so worried I could hardly think straight. About the Aurora drop. Out of all the jewels in Mr. Dennis's collection, he considers the Aurora drop to be his most precious. He worked tirelessly to acquire it in the first place. You might even say the Aurora drop is the physical manifestation, the crystallization, of Mr. Dennis's career as a jeweler. I wish nothing but swift retribution on the thief who stole it from him. For someone who speaks so formally, Barnes is a pretty passionate guy, isn't he? Please, Tim, find the Aurora drop, I beg you. Don't worry, sir. We're on the case.
Wow.
Based on Barnes's testimony, I'm really not surprised the police suspect him. Yeah, if only there was another witness at least. About that, aren't you forgetting something, Tim? Huh? Barnes told us that Growlithe and Clefable were in the mansion at the time of the incident, remember? Oh, right, maybe the Pokemon saw something. Exactly. You can leave the rest to me. Let's go question them.
Tim.
Alright, looks like this dude wants to talk to me. What do you want, great detective? Have you finished questioning Barnes? For now, anyway. We just haven't finished gathering our evidence. Doesn't change the fact that Barnes is still a suspect. If you don't mind, could we ask you some questions? If you insist, but I have no intention of sharing confidential information with you. About Barnes.
Excuse me.
Is the storage room key the reason the police suspect Barnes? Oh, so you know that much already? Well, no point in denying it. The only two people who can access the key are the homeowner and his butler, Mr. Dennis and Barnes. I highly doubt Mr. Dennis staged all of this himself, which leaves Barnes as the only logical suspect. Not only that, there were ducklet feathers at the crime scene and Barnes' partner is a ducklet. Clearly, Barnes used the key to get inside the storage room, then had Ducklet fly off with the jewel. That's my working theory. Duly noted. We don't have any decisive evidence yet, but we're going to find this Ducklet that flew the coop, and then we'll get definitive proof, you'll see. Well, I'll be continuing my own investigations. Suit yourself. About the investigation. Are you following any leads other than Barnes? Of course we are. We've already collected statements from every last person in this house. Do you mind if we ask what your impression of each of them was? Well, I suppose I could tell you that much. Mr. Dennis seems rather shaken by Barnes falling under suspicion, and his wife Claudia is reacting quite impetuously. Impetuously. Is that how you pronounce that? She's been approaching us repeatedly to demand that we hurry up and wrap up our investigation. Oof, that's gotta be tough. I almost feel bad for Brad. One of their staff members, Turner, has been very cooperative with our investigations. He's told us a lot about everything that happened up until he lost consciousness. I suppose that's all I could say for now. Thank you, we'll keep that in mind. The police can question people, but they can't talk to Pokémon. Interviewing the Pokémon around here might help us paint a clearer picture of what went down. What's up, Manectric? No need to glare at us like that, Manectric. Manectric! Calm down already. We're not gonna get in the way of your police work. Brad's Manectric sure is committed to the job. True. And he's been keeping watch, so if anyone tried to hide some evidence, he'd spot it right away. I guess he is helpful in that way, but I just wish he'd dialed back his aggression toward me. Oh, Pikachu is calling me.
Yo, Manectric, working hard?
Stay out of my way.
Hey, what did I ever do to you?
Oh my god, that was kind of adorable. I take it you've heard about what Mr. Dennis has to say. I'm guessing he also told you about his butler. He's definitely not pleased that Barnes has fallen under suspicion. It sure seems that way. In my position, I'm not at liberty to share all the information we've gathered, but if there's anything I could do to help, let me know. Thank you. Oh my god. Okay. At the time of the incident. What was the situation in the manor at the time of the incident? We're still looking into that. I'm sure you'll get more direct answers by asking the witnesses themselves. He's right. We should take this one step at a time and gather our own intel. About Barnes. I was told Barnes is the police's prime suspect. Well, the circumstantial evidence certainly seems to be pointing in his direction. He doesn't sound terribly convinced. Does anything strike you as odd? Yes, actually, I can't think of a single motive for Barnes to steal that jewel. He doesn't appear to bear any ill will toward Mr. Dennis, and he's in no trouble financially. That being said, we may uncover a motive in the course of our investigation. But for now, I can't say anything with certainty. Understood. About the Aurora Drop. I hear the Aurora Drop is an incredibly valuable jewel. The Aurora Drop's not just valuable, it's famous throughout the entire jewelry industry. Then there must be plenty of people who would like to get their hands on it. Could the jewel have been stolen by an intruder? I can't rule out that possibility, but based on current evidence, I'd say the likelihood of a burglary is low. About my dad. Inspector Holliday, I know this has nothing to do with the current case, but you want to ask about Harry? Yes, do the police have any new leads on my father's whereabouts? I'm sorry, Tim, but we haven't made any developments on that front. Oh, well, thanks anyway. I still don't understand it myself. Harry was working on the art case when he went missing, so it stands to reason that if you followed that thread, you'd find Harry too. But the case has been closed, and we still don't have a single clue. Seriously, where did Harry disappear to? Don't be discouraged, Tim. Look at how far you've come in the 2 years since you moved to the city in search of your father. You've become such a great detective that the mayor himself recognized you with an award. You'll find Harry, I'm sure of it. And in the meantime, I'll keep offering whatever help I can. Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Inspector Holliday. Okay. Do you guys want to talk? This room's currently under police investigation. Only authorized personnel are permitted. Okay.
Whoa.
Nope, I didn't mean to do that. When I just get too close to an area that I could leave, sometimes, you know, I end up going too close to the door. Anyways, I wanted to mention, is there any possible way that the wife could be the thief? After hearing what Barnes had to say, I feel like the wife could potentially be the thief. And I'll tell you guys why in a bit. Hey Growlithe, sorry to bug you when you're already feeling down, but would it be alright if we ask you some questions? Growl? We're to catch a thief, and we need your help to do it. Growl. You willing to talk to us if it'll help Sanji? Thanks. Sanji? Growlithe's nickname for Dennis, near as you can tell. Near as I can tell. Alright, his full name is Sanjeev Dennis, so I guess Sanji makes sense. Anyway, Growlithe, can we start with some questions? About you, Growlithe. Growl. Gotcha. As Dennis's partner, it's your job to guard the mansion. And we already know the key to the jewel storage room was around your neck. It's important to Dennis, so guarding it is important to you. Makes sense. She says she'd never let anyone other than Dennis or Barnes even touch the key. So that's why you feel extra responsible for what happened, huh? She's really got a strong sense of responsibility. Don't worry, the two of us are gonna crack this case. At the time of the incident, do you remember anything about the time of the incident? You don't know because you were napping? What? Your breakfast was so tasty that you ate too much and it made you sleepy? Heh, been there, believe me. What are you even talking about? You woke up when Barnes got home? That would have been right before all the commotion happened. And when you woke up, your precious key was gone? Yeah, I can tell you're upset. You'll do whatever it takes to help us catch the thief? Thanks. We'll come ask you for an assist if anything comes up. About Barnes. She says Barnes is a kind and well-mannered person. He and Dennis are close, and she's never seen them fighting or arguing. Mr. Dennis really does seem to trust Barnes after all. And Growlithe likes Barnes too. Judging from what Growlithe says, it's hard to think of Barnes as a likely culprit. There wasn't anything in Growlithe's testimony that could help us prove Barnes' innocence. Only one left to ask is Clefable. I'll do what I can to get Clefable talking to us. Thanks, Pikachu. So, back to the wife. I mean, she keeps trying to push everyone just outside, right? She said that, I think it was this dude actually, not Barnes. I think when I talked to this dude, he mentioned that the wife was just rushing him or trying to get him to leave. And I mean, to me, that sounds a little suspicious. Sounds a little suspicious. She's all rushing us and getting us to get out of here. And why would she want to do that if we're trying to help, right? And yeah, there was something else earlier. I forgot what it was. But it just made me so suspicious of her. Faye. What, you think we're thieves returning to the scene of the crime? You got it all wrong. We're not here to steal anything. We're actually great detectives looking to catch a thief. Please, can you ask us some questions? Faye? Yes, really, come on, you can trust us. Oh, hold on, I remember. The other reason I was thinking why she might want to take the jewel is because she doesn't want Mr. Dennis to donate it. That's what I'm thinking. What if she stole it because they were having an argument about donating it and she really didn't want him to do that? So she's like, sure, I'll just take it and hide it. That's what I'm thinking. And then she might have gotten Barnes's ducklet in on the act. Yeah, help us out, and I'm sure Claudia's bad mood will clear up too. Faye. So you're willing to talk to us? Thanks. Guess Clefable was worried we'd do something bad to Mrs. Dennis. About you, Clefable. Do you have a job here at the mansion? Faye. Ah, no job per se, unless you count spending time with Claudia. Isn't it tough hanging out with someone so prickly? Claudia's not a bad person, you say. Sorry, didn't mean to be insulting. Uh-huh. So Claudia's always arguing with someone or other. But when it's just you and her together, she starts to regret the whole thing? Ah, I get it now. Your job is to cheer her up when she gets into arguments. Wow, you're actually pretty nice. I bet Claudia is really important to Mrs. Dennis. At the time of the incident, did anything strange happen today? Claudia is saying she got real sleepy while playing in the mansion this morning. Okay, so both her and Growlithe ended up falling asleep. Then she dozed off and doesn't know what happened after that. That's too bad. About Barnes. What do you think of Barnes? Do you get along with him alright? Claudia doesn't like Barnes, so Clefable tries not to have much to do with him. But she doesn't think Barnes is a bad person. After all, she says Barnes ran to help Turner when he got hurt. Wait, does that mean Clefable saw Barnes going upstairs to help Turner? Yeah, it's gotta. Clefable, what else can you tell us? Clefable was dozing near the front door this morning. When Barnes got home from doing stuff outside, she woke up and greeted him at the door. Then, Clefable and Barnes heard Turner cry out on the second floor, so they both went running upstairs. Okay. And that's when, to their surprise, they found Turner on the floor. That means when Turner was attacked, Barnes was still on the first floor. Okay. So it can't be him. Open the notebook. Let's do it. I'm gonna stand over here. Let's see what's up. Is Barnes the culprit? Begin deducing. Alright, we've got some useful information. Let's stop for a moment and get our thoughts together. Based on everything we heard, is there anything that suggests Barnes is innocent? Let's review the information we gathered and see what we come up with. Okay, so Barnes doesn't seem like he would betray Mr. Dennis. Would Barnes really betray Mr. Dennis? They've known each other for a long time, and Mr. Dennis trusts Barnes implicitly. Barnes would not be the culprit. He returned to the mansion after the crime had occurred. When Barnes returned to the mansion, both he and Clefable heard Larry Turner cry out, so it's highly likely Barnes committed the crime. Okay. Barnes is the only one, aside from Mr. Dennis, who had access to the jewel storage room key, so he must be the culprit. But Barnes would never betray Mr. Dennis, I don't think. And especially from what Clefairy said, it sounded like Barnes wasn't there when Turner got attacked. Okay. Dang it! Okay. Alright. Are you feeling alright? You do realize that doesn't prove anything, do you? Here. My second option was going to be... Hold on. Stop talking. Okay, cool. This one? Hold on. He returned to the mansion after the crime had occurred. But, I mean, I feel like all of these are true, if that makes sense. Like, he is the only one with the key. He wouldn't betray Mr. Dennis, and he wasn't there when it happened, right? It's highly unlikely Barnes committed the crime. God, I don't even know. Okay, there you go. We learned that Clefable greeted Barnes when he returned to the mansion. And Growlithe says she woke up at exactly the same time. Barnes and the others only became aware of the crime after that. Doesn't that mean Barnes couldn't be the culprit? Barnes was on the first floor when Turner was attacked. That would have made it very difficult for Barnes to steal the jewel. I'm not sure we can prove Barnes is innocent with that alone. Yeah, we can't exactly disclose that testimony came from Pokemon. No one would believe us. It looks like we're going to need other evidence to prove his innocence. Okay. Barnes has an alibi.